My name is Eli Burke, and I'm Program Manager for Design Thinking and Student Engagement and Career Development. Design thinking is a creative problem-solving methodology that is also called human-centered design, and it really just centers the human experience, and it sort of creates a framework for people to approach problem solving where they can empathize with all the stakeholders involved in any specific issue. Design thinking, I believe that design thinking is critical, especially at this point in students' lives when they are trying to figure out who they are in the world, how they want to be in the world. I think design thinking, it's very collaborative, it's very interdisciplinary. Those are actually requirements for design thinking. It has to be collaborative, interdisciplinary. Students learn how to work together on teams with people who are different from them. They come together from disciplines across campus, and they bring their sort of rich personal histories with them. And those become emphasized as critical to the process of design thinking. Who students are is an asset to the process. How they have learned to navigate the world and how they have learned to problem solve in their own lives becomes an important part. And so when we get all these people together in the room, we have this really rich pool of experiences and things that we can use to help us not just empathize with all the people that we're designing for, but really think about the problem from all sides and take solutions from all sides, if that makes sense. Sort of looking, with all students bringing all their experience in, it really offers multiple ways to enter into creating solutions. In addition to collaboration and the interdisciplinary aspects, things that design thinking offers are, you have to approach problem solving from a non-judgmental place. And that goes for judging yourself when you're sort of in that ideation phase of design thinking, to also like not judging your teammates, not judging the people that you're designing for. So it really, really highlights empathy, and it provides a foundation for them to practice empathy, to understand what empathy is and how they can apply it, not just to whomever they're designing for, but actually their own lives as well. So the design thinking process, in addition to just the rich learning experience that students will have and that connection to community and the human experience, students gain highly transferable skills that they can put on their resume. All the things that I mentioned, like collaboration, working as part of a team, empathy, using empathy to understand how people are experiencing a product or an event or a service or a program or curriculum. It could really be anything. These are all things that will really benefit students when they leave their time at the U of A and they enter the sort of workforce and they begin their careers. These are things that employers are really looking for, especially now as we, post-pandemic are shifting to considering our employees as whole people, in a really holistic way. I think this is like a really perfect time to embrace design thinking on a larger scale. And I think the career benefits for students are really, really high. Through the design thinking process, students also gain a large number of functional skills. And that is throughout the entire process. But I would say during the prototyping phase of design thinking, students have to create prototypes or small, quick examples of their solutions as a way to test those solutions. And that often can come in the form of, flyers, or, like they'll use Photoshop. They have to, through the empathizing phase, they have to collect data. So they have to collect, organize, and, make sense of all the data. So they're working with spreadsheets. We also go through a process where we look at them as, how they function as leaders in a situation. So we use Clifton Strengths, and we look at their strengths and we talk about how that fits in with other strengths or may not. How can they strengthen those? So when we engage with the design thinking process with students, the way that we approach it is, we are providing a client basically. So we'll connect with either a corporate partner or a community partner. They present us with a challenge. they present us with something that's challenging for them to do in their work. And then students have to work to really define what's causing the challenge. Like the challenge is usually a symptom of a problem. And the students have to really get in there and narrow it down and figure out like what's causing these challenges for the organization. So we'll create these characters, we'll do role playing, we will brainstorm, we'll mind map. We have these really awesome prototyping cards. We basically provide them with as many different tools to ideate, prototype, empathize as we can. And then they kind of get to take those and figure out which ones work best in which context and for which client. So all those things, I think, have multiple applications across any field that you're going into. And so I feel like there's just multiple layers of benefits for both students, honestly, and those that the students are working with, the partners. Design thinking within student engagement and career development is unique from other offerings on campus because we're not necessarily tied to any one discipline. So it's offered across campus in other areas, but it's very discipline specific. And as I mentioned, the power of design thinking is in that it is interdisciplinary. You need people from different areas bringing these different skill sets to come together. That is what makes it so powerful. So we're in a unique position because we're not tied to any one discipline, and we can really open it up to be available for all and emphasize that this is the purpose of us doing this is to bring us all together across campus to learn from this process. So the ways that we offer it in student engagement and career development are twofold. There are student internships that emphasize Pell recipient, first generation, and students of color. And we offer that through the internship program where basically students apply for internships and then they become part of a team of interns that work with a community partner to address challenges that they're facing. The purpose of that, the internships, in addition to just giving this opportunity to students, is to connect our University of Arizona students with our local community. Because a lot of times, students at the U of A, it can become a little bit of a bubble, right? You're on campus, you're super focused. They don't often have opportunities or time to connect with the rich, amazing local community that we have here in Tucson. And so by getting them connected and really embedded in that community, the goal is to keep the talent here in our awesome city of Tucson. And so that's part of it. But then also getting them to know, what does it mean to design for people? What does it mean to work with a community organization, a nonprofit organization that's doing work for vulnerable populations? And how do you consider all those bodies? How do you design something that's for everyone? So that's one way that we offer design thinking. And then we also offer course-specific opportunities. And that is something that's currently growing. So right now we have an honors course that's running. It's a 7-week course, and the students, again, they work. I basically work to cultivate relationships with community organizations, and we're currently working with Ben's Bells with the Honors College. And then we're also offering a course in engineering where we're working with Living Streets Alliance. So there's just 2 examples, but we also run a course for our Blue Chip Leadership Program, which is a program that's offered through student engagement and career development. Students can enter at any point in their career at the U of A, but it's generally like a 4-year thing. They often come in as freshmen and go through the whole program, but you can come in as a junior. There's no limit on that. But essentially in their 2nd year of the program, they take a course called Design Thinking for Social Change, where we connect them with an issue and they learn this process. I will also add that sometimes design thinking in general can leave out the equity part. And so for me and for our department, it's very important to us that we are grounding this in equity and inclusion and making sure that students understand not only who they're designing for is very, very important, but that who they are as people is very important. And that this equity part of making sure everyone has a seat at the table and has the resources to succeed is sort of what we're grounding this in. So when we're teaching this, we start with the individual and we look at, who are you? How do you understand yourself in the world? How do you understand yourself among other people? And then we zoom out to systems thinking and look at, okay, who are you in this system? What does that mean? What power do you have or not have in this system? If that changed, how would the whole system change? Getting them to understand that when you change one piece, other things are affected. And so sometimes when we create solutions, we can create other problems. And we want to make sure that we're looking at the big picture as well as our role in the process. So that, those are the ways that we are currently offering these design thinking opportunities for students. We encourage you to visit our website, or you can email me directly at eliburke@email.arizona.edu.